Okay, so we're going to start here on example 2, looking at the percent of change. The data display shows the population change per 1,000 people in each county in Colorado in 2020. Find the percent of change in population for the darkest blue counties. Now, since this says per 1,000 people, that tells us that our original amount is going to be at just a standard 1,000 people, okay? Now, if we're looking only at the blue, it changed. The 20 represents the amount of change. So the new amount is 1,020 people, like that, okay? Find the percent of change in population for the darkest blue. All right, so that's this group right here. All right, so that was an increase, right? So this increase is, we take, right, percent increase. That's going to be, you take the new minus the original divided by the original. Okay, so 1,020 minus 1,000, that's 20 divided by 1,000. All right, so let's see. Let's go 20 divided by 1,000, and that's going to give us 0.02. So that is 0.02. Now I want to change that to a percent. So remember, I moved the decimal 2 places. 1, 2. So we're going to move it to this new spot right there. So that's just 2%. So my percent of increase is 2%. Okay. So I want you to do number 1 and number 2 real quick. Identify the percent of change as an increase or a decrease, then find the percent of change. Okay, so on number 1, this was the original, 8 feet to 24 feet, so 24 is the new. So that is an increase, so percent of increase. That's going to equal, you take the new minus the original divided by the original. New minus original divided by the original. All right, so 24 minus 8. 24 minus 8, that's 16. So this is going to be 16 divided by 8. So 16 divided by 8. Hopefully you already knew that it was a 2. All right, so that is 2, like that. Now, we have to change this to a percent, right? Because that's what it says, find the percent of change. So just like we did up here, we have to move the decimal, right, to the right. So we're going to hit, where's our decimal on this one? When it's not written, it's right there. So we have to move it 1, 2, like that right there, 0, 0. So that is going to be a percent of increase of 200%, 200% increase. Okay? Okay, now on number 3, 300 to 210 miles. So this is the original number right here, and then this is the new number. Well, 300 to 210, that's a decrease, right? So that goes from, so that's a percent of decrease. Decrease. So you take the original minus the new divided by the original. The original always goes on the bottom. No matter which of these that we do, the original always goes on the bottom. Okay, so What is 300 minus 210? Well, that's going to be 90. So 90 divided by 300. All right, so let's see. 90 divided by 300. That is going to be 0.3. So that is 0.3. So we want to change it to a percent. So we move the decimal 1, 2, like that. So right there, which means I have to add a 0. So my percent of decrease equals 30%. Because I moved the decimal over here. That's 30, and then the decimal, 30%. Okay, great job. Way to go. All right, let's look at this next section. All right, find the percent of change and classify as a percent increase or decrease, round to the nearest tenth of a percent. So you can pause the video and work these out if you want to see how you're doing. All right, so there were 120 students in the marching band. This year, there are 138. So there were, so that's the original number, right? So the original was the 120. And this year, so the new number is 138. So that is an increase. So it's going to be a percent of increase. So you take the new minus the old divided by the old. All right, so that is going to be, that's going to be 18. 18 divided by 120. All right, so here we go. 18 divided by 120. That is going to be 0.15. All right, we have to move the decimal. 1, 2, right to that spot. Right, so my new spot for the decimal is over there. So that it means my percent of increase is equal to 15%. Okay. Right, so number 2, a savings account of $500 now has 120. So this was the original amount in savings. This is the new amount in savings. So that is a percent of decrease. Decrease. So that means we take the original minus the new. Notice that it's always the bigger one minus the smaller one. But the original number always goes on bottom. Okay? So you do big minus small every time. So 500 minus 120, 500 minus 120, that is 380. So we go 380 over the 500, over the original. So now I'm going to go 380 divided by 500. So that gives us 0.76. So I want to move the decimal, 1, 2, right to that spot. So my percent of decrease is equal to 76%, because we moved the decimal right over there. All right, so number 3, Annie bought a brand new car for $32,000. All right, the car is now worth $21,000. Okay, so this was the original. When she bought it brand new, that was the original. Now, so the now, that's the new. That's what it is now. Okay, so that the decreased in value. So this is a percent of decrease. So always take the big number minus the smaller number. And then it's always over the original, whatever the original price or amount or whatever. All right, so if we subtract that, 32,000 minus 21,000, whoops, too many, there we go. That is 11,000 over 32,000. All right, so let's calculate that. 11,000 divided by 32,000. So we're going to round that. Let's round it to 0.34. Let's go ahead and go one more. Let's go ahead and go to this spot right here. Okay, so that's 0.34. All right, so that 7 would cause the 3 to round up. So this is going to be 0.344. Okay. So that equals 0.344. So like every time, move the decimal 2 to the right. 1, 2. So it's going to go right in there. So my percent of decrease is equal to 34.4%. So you move the decimal over 2 places to get your percent. All right, number 4, the cost per credit hour at a community college was $190 in 2010. In 2016, the cost per credit hour was $315. So what's the original? The original is this right over here, right? There's the original, the 190 in 2016. So that's the new price right there. So the original was 190, the new is 315. So that is a definite increase, right? But you always take the big number minus the small one. But the original price, the original cost, the original number always goes on the bottom. Okay, so we're going to go 315. 315 minus 190. That equals 125. So that equals 125 over 190. So we're going to go over here and go 125 divided by 190. And that equals 0.657. So if we go right here, right, the 8 will cause the 7 to round up. Okay, the 8 will cause the 7 to round up. So it's 0.658. 0.658. 0.658. Move the decimal 2 places. 1, 2. So now it's right there in that spot. So my percent of increase is 65.8% right there. Okay. All right. So let's look at number 5. The price of a gallon of gas went from $2.09 to $2.24 for the Thanksgiving holiday. So this was the original. And this was the new price. They raised the price for Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is an increase, a percent increase for that. And so that's going to be the 224 minus the 209. The original always goes on the bottom. Okay, so 224 minus 209. 2.24 minus 2.09. That equals 0.15. So this is 0.15. Move the decimal 1, 2. So the percent of increase is equal to 15%. Okay. Bryson sent 3,809 text messages in June. In July, he sent 3,115. So this was the original number because that's in June, right? So in June, he sent that much. And then this is July, so that's the new number. So did he increase text messages or lower them? Well, he had definitely lowered them. 3,800 is more than 3,100. So that is a decrease, percent of decrease in the text messages. All right, so you always take the big one minus the small one. And then the original number always goes on the top. Okay, so we're going to go 3809 minus 3115. 3809 minus 3115. So that's going to be 694. 694. And then we have our 3809. All right, so 694 divided by 3809. 694 divided by 3809. And that is going to give us, right? So we want to have 3 decimal places. So this 2 here, right? The 2 right here does not cause that to round up. So 0.182 is all we want. So that's 0.182, like that. So move the decimal 1, 2. It's going to go right in there. It's my new decimal spot. So the percent of decrease is 18.2%. Decrease. 18.2% decrease. Okay, Clarissa's credit score went from 670 to 715 in 1 year. So this was the original, and this is the new, which is really good. She increased, she raised it. So that's a percent of increase because it went up. So we take the 715 minus the 670 and then divide that by the original, which was 670. So that's going to be 715 minus 670, and that is 45 over 670. So 45 divided by 670, that is equal, right? And we're going to round it to right here, 0.067, and the 1 does not cause it to round up. So that's 0.067. Move the decimal, 1, 2. This goes right there. So that my percent of increase is 6.7%. 6.7%. All right, then number 8. A $39 watch is now on clearance for $17.50. So that is a decrease, right? Because the original price was $39. Now it's a deal down to $17.50. So this is a definite decrease. All right. So we always take the big number minus the smaller one. And then the original number always goes on the bottom. So 39 minus 1750, 39 minus 1750, that is 2150. So that's $21.50. And then divided by the original, which is 39. So 2150, 1.50 divided by 39. That's going to give us 0.5512. So put that right there. The 2 does not cause it to round up. So that is 0.55112. So my percent of decrease is 55.1%. Okay, oh my goodness, there are so many of these. So number 9, the Florida Panthers won 47 games in 15-16, and then in the next year they won 35. So this was the original, and this is the new. So that is a decrease. They didn't win as many games this year. So that's going to be 47 minus 35. And the original number was 47. And so that's going to be 12 over 47. So we're going to go 12 divided by 47. 12 divided by 47. So that's going to be 0.255. 0.255. All right, move the decimal, 1, 2. So my percent of decrease is 25.5%. Okay, number 10, a 13.5 ounces of shampoo now is 18 ounces. So this was the original. This is the new ounces. It's a bigger bottle. So that is a percent of increase. So it's going to be 18 minus 13.5 over the original, which was 13.5. Right, so 18 minus 13.5, that is 4.5. So it's going to be 4.5 over the original 13.5. Right, so 4.5 divided by 13.5. 4.5 divided by 13.5, that's going to give us 0.333. All right, so 0.33312. So the percent of increase is 33.3%. Okay, two more in this little section. Clara put 860 miles on her car in May. In June, she put 28, less than twice the number. Okay. Okay, we're going to skip the last two. Okay, percent error is the percent that an estimated amount differs from the actual amount. All right, so use this formula. Percent error equals the amount of the error over the actual amount. Okay, so you fill bags with 16 ounces of dog treats. The acceptable percent error is 5%, and each bag acceptable. All right, so you fill bags with about 16%. So we have to, the amount of the error divided by the actual amount. Okay, so we have to calculate the amount of the error and then divide it by what the actual amount was supposed to be. Okay, so for this one, for this bag, it's 15 ounces. So we wanted it to be 16. This actually only has 15 in it. So if we subtract that, that's a 1. So that's the amount of the error, right? That's the amount of the error. So to get the percent of the error, we take the amount of the error divided by what we actually wanted, right? The amount of the error by what you actually want in there. We wanted 16, that's what we want. All right, so we're gonna go over here and we're gonna go 1 divided by 16. And so that's 0.0625. 0.0625. So that is 0.0625. Move the decimal, 1, 2, to right there. And so that is the percent of error is 6.25%. Okay? Now what about this bag over here? Well, it's overfilled, right? It has too much in it. So the 16.5 minus 16, that's just going to be 0.5, like that. So my percent of error is the amount of the error divided by the actual amount we really wanted. Okay? So we're going to go 0.5 divided by 16. And so that is 0.03125. 0.03125, like that. So we're going to move the decimal 1, 2. So that's my new home for the decimal right there. So the percent of error is, right, there's my decimal, 3.125%. Okay. So remember also that the acceptable percent is 5%. So this right here, This bag is not acceptable. Not acceptable. And then this error is only 3%. So this one is acceptable, right? Because it's within accepted margins. Just half an ounce. Half an ounce is an accepted margin. But this one is a whole ounce too low, so that's too much. Can't be missing a whole ounce. Okay, let's do this last problem real quick. Okay, we are only doing one more problem on this. In a game, you guess how many bones are in a human body. If the percent error is at most 5%, you get 2 points. If the percent error is 10%, you get 5. It's between 5 and 10%, you earn 1 point. You guess 195 bones. The correct answer is 206. How many points do you earn? Okay, so there's actually 206. You guessed 195. So let's figure out the amount of your error. The amount of your error. So 206 minus 195. That equals 11. So you missed it by 11 bones. So the percent of error, you take the amount of your error divided by the actual answer, which is 206. All right, so that's going to equal, give me a second. We're going to do 11 divided by 206. So that is 0.053, right? 0.053. So that is 0.053. Move the decimal 1, 2. All right, so the decimal is now right there. So your percent of error is equal to 5.3%. Well, that is more than 5%, so you don't get the 2 points. You get only 1 point. Okay, we're going to stop right there with this video.